We'll take it. Thanks, Tuck. Yep. All right, we are already more than half the way through January. Can you believe it?
No.
Well, with February coming up so fast, so how are you doing on those New Year's resolutions? We want to know. Holly?
Who are you talking to? Many, of course, fall by the wayside after just a couple of weeks. So here was some motivation to stay the course, crush those goals. Good friend to our show, author and emotional intelligence expert, Eric Rittmeyer. It's good to see you, sir.
Yes, I'm happy to be back. I got Steven over here. We're comparing fingers.
We just got it, man.
All I'm saying is I'm doing a segment with two psychopaths.
Well, allegedly.
According to that study we talked about. But let's talk about studies. Studies show that even though people are well-intentioned and they make those New Year's resolutions, a good portion of them fail. Why is that?
They do, because we rely on motivation. So we set these goals and we rely on motivation to get these goals. The problem is motivation comes and goes. It's tied to how we feel. We wake up in the morning, we feel good, we stick with it. We wake up in the morning, we feel bad, we're like, not gonna mess with it. 18-inch pizza, tub of ice cream, how you doing? This is what we do. As opposed to setting something and then getting the goal and having a why, a strong emotionally charged why. It's all about emotions.
Okay, Eric, let's talk about the real reality of this all. We are almost hardwired to quit, right? We've got that fight or flight adrenaline thing going on, that chemical imbalance that happens. When we see something hard, we always quit. So what can we do to fight against that primal instinct to not quit?
It's the pain. So as soon as that pain comes in, physical pain, mental pain, emotional pain, it's like, you know what? I like my comfort zone. I like it right where I am. I don't want to deal with this pain.
Yeah.
So if we set the goals and we have that emotionally charged why we're doing what we're doing, what gets us out of bed, what charges us, when the going gets tough, we go back to that and we say, you know what, this is why I'm getting out of bed early.
It's the
this
why.
is why. It's the why. Everybody's missing the why.
Okay, well, and they're missing the why. So you have this formula, right? And it starts with P, and the first one is, that's pain, right? Which is the why. You have to make sure it's the right why. The why can't be because your wife told you you should do it.
That's the exact wrong thing to do. Although you should always listen to what your wife tells you.
Right.
I mean, if you want to stay married, listen to your wife. But if you want to achieve your goal,
this is right.
You need something more than that.
You do need more than that.
Okay.
The formula is dissatisfaction plus vision plus process. So you have to have a pain, you have to have a why, and you have to have a how. When you have those three things together, they will supersede the cost, which is the price you have to pay. So if you're unhappy and you know why you're doing what you're doing, and you have the ABCs and the 1, 2, 3s, the cost at that point's irrelevant because you know why you want it.
So you have to be so upset at something to make that change happen.
100%. In combination with that why, it's non-stoppable. But if you're not upset with yourself, if you're not unhappy with your weight, why are you going to go on a diet?
True.
I'm cool the way I am.
Why do you need to change, right?
Exactly
okay,
right.
so D is dissatisfaction. That's the pain. That's the why.
Yes.
V is vision.
Emotionally charged. What gets you going?
Okay.
What powers you? What fuels you? And I'm not
How do you
talking
figure
about,
that out?
You have to get deep into it. Normally it's family. Normally this is called facilitated introspection. It's a process where you look internally. Find something that drives you. Write it down. Put it on paper. Sounds a little goofy, sounds a little silly. Write it down. Almost every single time it has something to do with family.
Write a vision and make it plain.
Yes.
I want to talk to you about some motivators. So folks a lot of times get on YouTube and find those motivational videos from, like, you know, Denzel Washington, sometimes Les Brown, and they're fired up for a small moment, but that's not enough to keep you to get through your goals.
It's not. Again, we are emotional creatures that are hardwired to feel first and think later. When we control that emotion, we recognize the emotion, that fuels us. So we use the emotion for the why, the logic for the how. Separate emotion from logic. Understand that what you're going to deal with, what you want, is going to be difficult. Because if it wasn't difficult, everyone would have it. Push through it. Focus on the end goal, not on the pain of going through it.
Okay, so we have the dissatisfaction D, plus the V, which is vision, plus the P, which is process. That's your how. How do you figure out which how works?
Well, this is the easy part, because you have Google for this, you have YouTube for this. The ABCs and the 1, 2, 3s are simple. Normally that part of the equation is not missing. What I find most often, the people are unhappy. They know how to do whatever it is that they want to do. It's just that vision that's missing. There's nothing that gets them going. Because let's be honest, whenever we want to make a change, it's not easy. It's difficult. It's not going to be fun to do. If we're just waking up in the morning being like, you know what? I feel good today, I'll eat tuna and rice. If we're relying on that, it's never ever going to happen, as opposed to, this is what I want, to watch my kids walk down the aisle, to buy that house on the beach, whatever it is that fuels you. So when you wake up and you don't feel good, you're like, you know what? I don't care if I don't feel good. I want to do this for my family. And it's all about the emotion.
And it helps to visualize where you want to be, right? See the body, see the house, see the job, right?
It sounds a little hairy-fairy, sounds a little pie in the sky, kumbaya, rainbow, Skittles, unicorns, but it ultimately does.
But I like all those things.
I like all those things too.
Everything.
Especially the Skittles. I love Skittles. I do like Skittles.
So D, plus V plus P has to be greater than C, and C is the cost.
That's
And
exactly
do that
right.
math. That is your math right there.
I'm a former Marine. I cannot read or write, Steven. So I'll stick with this. Like, here we go. Look at
There
that.
we go.
Right there. That's all that matters.
We got some things going on. We'll talk about that later. All right, here we go. So here is your book and your website and also your IG page and Facebook. That's where they can find you. And you still got a book coming out, don't you? It's already
do.
out.
I got my Emotional Marine coming out. I'm writing a second book right now.
Oh,
Believe it or
nice.
not, it's actually on menopause.
Ooh.
I know you're like
Wow.
emotional
Are you going
Marine.
through it?
I'm having a very difficult time with it. I'm just,
Let's talk about it.
it's hormones and menopause. Next one.
There you go. All right. Well, if you're armed with that formula, you know what? Like Ben Franklin said, don't put off tomorrow what you can do today. That's all I'm saying.
You guys,
That's all I'm saying. Still ahead from the emotional impact of Niecy Nash's Emmy speech. Big news for the iconic 90s band, one of them.